journalists are still facing severe restrictions, so images of what's been going on there for a week are still rare. But enough is now becoming clear that the Communist Chinese news agency has admitted something it rarely does, that its troops have opened fire on Tibetan protesters and killed 13 of them. Tibet's government in exile claims the number is much closer to 100. Here's Eric Sorensen.
Just enough pictures have slipped out to show the world what it so seldom sees: defiance in Tibet and a crackdown by Chinese authorities, from tourists' video and news crews' hidden cameras. Unable to suppress the news entirely, the Chinese are reporting it this way, showing the damage in Tibet and blaming their spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. In exile, the Dalai Lama, who steadfastly preaches non-violence, says he wants to meet with the Chinese leaders.
Really feel now, really, is the time come to go there? I'm ready.
The world is watching closely, from Tokyo to Toronto. In Ottawa, protesters marched from Parliament Hill to the Chinese embassy.
Shame on China!
The Prime Minister saying in a statement today, Canada calls upon China to fully respect human rights and peaceful protest, and to show restraint. The Dalai Lama has received strong moral support from Western leaders, but at the same time, Western trade with China has grown by leaps and bounds.
We want them to understand, to realize that trading with China comes at the price of millions of Tibetans who have died.
There is no perfect time to visit China.
Toronto's mayor is about to lead a trade mission to China. He's not prepared to call it off.
My mission is about cementing the relationship between our cities. If there's an opportunity, of course, I'll speak to Canada's perspective.
Another way to pressure China? Boycott the Summer Olympics in Beijing. Not something Washington's considering.
The president, as head of state, has spoken very frankly to President Hu. And as it pertains to the Olympics, certainly the president wants to make sure that our athletes have a really good experience.
For now, it seems it's business as usual for China and its biggest trading partners. The question is, if the crisis persists, are Canada, the U.S., and others prepared to respond to China with anything more than strong language? Eric Sorensen, Global News, Washington. From tourists' video and news crews' hidden cameras. Unable to suppress the news entirely,
There's a flame. We're out for lunch at a restaurant and heard an explosion, and then three Chinese tanks rolled down the road, followed by a whole bunch of army officers that closed off the street. Today's the 14th of March. I'm in Lhasa, and a riot has just broken out. The city is aflame. We're out for lunch at a restaurant and heard an explosion, and then three Chinese tanks rolled down the road, followed by a whole bunch of army officers that closed off the street. So we started walking back to our hotel. I just met a bunch of Tibetan people rioting, turning over cars and setting them on fire, breaking into Chinese shops. It's absolute mayhem on the street.
The Chinese were sending women to poison you.
Oh yes, in there is the hair poisoned and the scalp poisoned. So you see, they seek supposed to see blessing from me and my hand touch, like that kind of sort of information. You see, we received. I don't know whether 100% correct or not. There's no possibility to cross-check like that.
They immediately forwarded the email to Kate Saunders of the Washington-based International Campaign for Tibet.
I started to try to get in touch with climbers up on Advanced Base Camp Cho Oyu because of the news that they'd witnessed the shooting, which was unprecedented. None of the climbers would contact me. I tried all sorts of people in all sorts of different countries.
They're shooting them like dogs.
Yeah.
They're shooting them like dogs.
Yeah.
It was the first visual documentation for 50 years of the way that Tibetans are treated in the border areas, this shooting in cold blood.
They started a peaceful demonstration. They were blocked by the People's Armed Police. Later on, a scuffle started between the police and the monks. And eventually, they were joined by a bystander.